morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is Firoze Manji from Daraja Press. Welcome to the Daraja Press show. Welcome to the show today. And we're going to be focusing today on the civic uprisings and killings of unarmed civilians by the police recently in Kenya. And we'll be discussing the role of the opposition party and its leader, Raila Odinga, about what actually their role and their aspirations are. We have some amazing people who are going to be joining us today. It's a real delight to have you all on our show. If we can start perhaps by introducing Comrade Gathanga, who many of you will already know, who is an activist and organizer with the Mathare Social Justice Centre in Kenya, and a member of the Kenya Organic Intellectuals Network, and a member of the Revolutionary Socialist League. He's also an author of Mathare, an urban bastion of anti-oppression struggles in Kenya, which we published a little while back, and an excellent book, really important one, about the history of protests and organizing that goes back to the colonial times in Mathare. So a warm welcome, Gathanga.
Thank you so much.
I'm also very pleased to have Comrade Gachihi, whom again has been on our shows a number of times. Gacheke is coordinator of the Mathare Social Justice Centre and a member of the Social Justice Centre's Working Group Steering Committee in Nairobi. A warm welcome to you, Gacheke.
Thank you very much, Comrade Firoze. It's almost humbling to appear in the Daraja Press again. Very inspiring, humble.
Thank you. We are supposed to be joined by Brian Mathenge, who's a member of the Rise Social Justice Centre and Secretary General of the Young Communist League and Communist Party of Kenya. And also Minoo Kyaa is a member of the Mukuru Community Justice Centre and a team leader at the Social Justice Centre's Travelling Theatre, whose house, I gather, was recently demolished. I'm not sure what's happened to those two comrades. They seem to have lost connection for some reason. But let us proceed in any case with what we can. So the first thing is, I think it would be helpful for our viewers and our listeners to understand what has been happening in Kenya recently and what has given rise to these protests. Gathanga, would you want to start with that?
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me on this platform. It's always a pleasure. I think our problems are much deep-rooted, and it boils down to the fact that as a country, we never really went deep into decolonizing. So, we are always trying to go back to this kind of route. That's why, because we never really solved most of our problem post-independence period. That's why we're always finding ourselves this problem keep on coming on over and over again. But then the spot of demonstration that have been happening recently, they've mostly been pushed by the high cost of living that we're experiencing in Kenya, which I believe has been caused by the current inflation. There's a lot of corruption from government, and also the kind of structural adjustment policies that are being introduced by IMF and World Bank, which actually, in a very funny way, they're being the US government. So these kind of structural adjustment policies are coming at a time when the citizens are overburdened by the high cost of living. The government is also trying to introduce a very voracious tax regime in Kenya, which is really targeting the people at the bottom of the income pyramid. And you find the problem is that this government ran on a very populist rhetoric that they said that they were people centered and they were humanity centered, but then they're actually doing the opposite of what they promised to the people. So you find that they are introducing tax. What they say, they are broadening the tax bracket, but then if the people who are the bottom of this income pyramid in Kenya are the ones being targeted. The likes of farmers, be it the subsistence farmers, the mama mboga, or the local grocery people, the border guys. Those are the people who have been targeted mostly in this kind of taxation regime, and they're the people who are being affected. That's why you're finding this kind of revolt coming down from the people. That's why it is coming from the people in the slums, people from the rural areas. It is coming from the farmers who have felt that they've been betrayed by this kind of regime. So that's why people, they want to show their anger. They want to show like they're not really okay with the kind of policy the government is making.
Right. So Gacheke, what's your take on this?
Thank you very much, Comrade Firoze. And as what Comrade Gathanga has said, that this problem is of the neo-colonial state, and it's all in Africa, whether in South Africa, Tunisia, Uganda, Kenya. This problem manifesting it ourselves, the crisis of the neoliberal economic plan that has been implemented since in the last 30 years, it manifests from there. But now we have a huge population of young people who have finished university education and they don't have a job. The regime that came to power promised that it will create an opportunity for unemployment. It will reduce cost of living, as Gathanga has said. But as you know, Michael Cosmas has spoken this in his paper, the domains of politics and mass and modes of rule. And in his paper, he talks about from 1980 to today, we have been confronted broadly with the following the domination of neoliberalism induced by structural adjustment and multipartism, the privatization of national resources and institutions, the opening of the market, the end of the import substitution industrialization project. That industrialization project was the first national project during Independence Day when the government were talking about developmental state. So this manifestation and social injustice and poverty and hopelessness, as Gathanga has articulated very well, is its foundation is in the historical of the neo-colonial state, as Professor Michael was speaking about. And maybe we thought from 1990 with the imposition of multi-party representative democracy and the government that time promising that with the injecting of international capital, things will change. But you can see, even after this new regime came to power in last year, they had promised heaven. Then they had said that everybody will access to the basics. They reduce the cost of living. It's called a Hasra narrative. They said everyone will be equal. It's like everyone was being promised a free lunch in State House. But you can see what has happened historically. It has continued producing elites who continue to serve the interests of the neoliberal economic forces. And that's where we are. The IMF and World Bank have imposed this Finance Act. Just imagine they're imposing a fuel tax from 8% to 16%. Also, they're imposing a housing levy. They are imposing many taxing, and they are taxing people who are very poor and people who don't have a job. Also, we know we have a very minimum middle class, and even middle class itself is struggling to survive because after the COVID, a lot of the business collapsed. So we are facing a situation that is very dear, and the old is struggling to survive because of the melting of economy, and the new is also struggling to be born, as we can say, although we are trying our best as a social justice movement and other mass movement. But that is a crisis and historical. But anyway, what can we do? We have to continue to struggle and create a path for social liberation.
Yeah, I mean, we still haven't been able to get Brian, and so I just wonder whether we've lost. We lost Maybe
They are joining Warenga. They are joining through Warenga.
yeah, Comrade Warenga.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can. Are you able to speak to us?
Yes, comrade, I am in a position to speak.
Yeah. So give us your perspective on what has been going on.
Let me try and switch on my camera. I had put on that a sticker that doesn't allow me to switch on my camera, but I can switch it on. I don't know if.
Well, that's fine. You can carry on talking anyway. There you are.
You're good.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yes, of course. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I joined in the conversation. I didn't know we were supposed to listen in through YouTube. I somehow had the link, so I joined in through the link.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I think what is going on right now is a case of, where we can clearly see what Gacheke was speaking, what my comrade Gacheke was speaking about, that our country has continually been auctioned to international capital, and even now, because what they're referring to and all they rely on is IMF and what IMF says about, for example, the Finance Act. Right now, what Mudavadi was speaking so, eloquently, quote and of quote, that we should trust the IMF because the IMF says that the Finance Act is very good. We should be able to rely on the Finance Act. But if anything, we know that relying on the Finance Act is the detriment, or relying on the IMF is detriment to our people. It's detriment to our future. But really, it's a clear show that we are still a neo-colonial state, and of course, this administration will continue relying on international capital and will continue plundering our country. We'll continue having people coming in to invest in our country, but with the intention of plundering our resources. But even with what is going on with Baba, it is not that Raila Odinga. It's not that we can rely on him. It's not that we can rely on him for change, because what we say even within the social justice movement is that we cannot sit back and look at one reactionary government. Then even if they succeed in what they are purporting to do, we cannot look at it, when we come from one reactionary government to another reactionary government. But, we must do everything possible to fight, to keep fighting and to keep the resistance moving. But now the resistance must be channeled to the side where it is not reactionary resistance. It is resistance that is fighting for social justice, that is fighting for serious change for our people. Yes.
Just so that our viewers and listeners can, Comrade Warenga, can you say a little bit about yourself, just quickly?
About myself. All right. My name is Warenga Wahome. I am a lawyer. I coordinate the legal empowerment network in Mathare Social Justice Centre, and I'm also a member of the Communist Party of Kenya.
Okay, well, you're very welcome. Now, okay, so we're talking about a situation where there's been, structural adjustment or austerity for years. I mean, this goes back to the 1980s, even 1990s. So why are there these big protests? What's happening that make it so explosive, and why is it that you are getting all these killings going on? I mean, there are reports that there are more than 33 people who've been killed. Is this an overestimate? Is this an underestimate? What's going on? Why all this killing?
Yeah, first of all, you can go, you can
go. I think one of the things that angers Kenya is that, yes, you're speaking about austerity measures, but then it's austerity for the poor, but then excesses for the government. So it's really boiling, because on one hand, you see the government say that bring all these austerity measures to the citizen, but then for them, they are continuing in living in excesses. You find that the government introduced 50 positions that were illegal, like for the CAS position. And these are the positions that are very unconstitutional. So, people do not understand all the government, because on one hand, it's talking other issues, and on the other, doing the opposite. So, people have been feeling this kind of anger boiling over time. And then the problem is, I think the poor have been targeted in this war, but so in places like the informal settlement. They've been highly profiled by the police. These are the places like Mathare, like Kibera, Nyalenda, Kisumu, these kind of slums have been profiled because they've been labeled as violent zones and insecure zones. So like every time there is this kind of mandamano and protest, these areas are barricaded by police. They are targeted. The youth from this area, like they are like treated like criminals. And in fact, this is something that has been going on for many years. And then on the issue of, I think we've witnessed more death than the 33 that they are saying, because these are just formal statistics. But if you come to the ground, we have people who've been documenting all these cases in different social justice centers across the country. The number of deaths are far more than what is being reported, and also the injuries that have been meted on the people. They are so much great. I think also the media has been complex with this in trying to cover up what has been happening. In some instances, it was they called trying to sanitize the whole kind of demonstration, what has been happening, and trying not to show the situation as it is on the ground, because in reality we've had so many people dying, and because we have been having these people human rights defenders from across the country documenting all these kind of cases. But then not all these cases get to the death, not all of them get to the limelight. So we find that people are dying, people are being wounded, but then the numbers are being quashed by the government and also to some extent by the media. So I really I can't say that it's only 37 people who have died so far. There are a lot of people who have died, but then the numbers have been quashed. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Welcome back, Minoo and Brian. Sorry we lost you for a moment there. We've been talking about sort of the austerity, the what's causing the people to take to the streets to protest, and then there's been all these killings that have been going on. In practice, though, in reality, even before the uprisings, we were getting regularly police killings of people in our informal settlements. Why is this killing happening? What is it that they want to do? Minoo. We're gonna have to ask. You're gonna have to switch on your. Unmute you.
Yes,
Okay.
comrade. You can hear me now.
Yes, good.
Yeah, comrade. Sorry, we were struggling with our internet a little bit. We're very apologetic for what just happened a few minutes ago. So, about the protests that have been happening in Kenya, we can say that yeah, people really these protests that are happening right now, regardless of who is leading the protest, whether it is the opposition, whether it is the social movement and all that, it is the time for people to do protests, because it is for sure the high cost of living is very, very high. If you take a case study of Mukuru kwa Jenga, where I come from, Mukuru kwa Jenga experienced eviction like 1 year ago, and there was a mass demolition of people. So we experienced more than 70,000 families were evicted from Mukuru. And then, Mukuru kwa Jenga is very near industrial area. And then again, we also have a lot of unemployed youths in Mukuru kwa Jenga. And then now there's this issue of high cost of living. We are being overtaxed and all that. We cannot even afford basic commodities. Food is a problem. Even housing is a challenge and all that. So people really had to come out and protest. So people have been protesting in big numbers, and police have killed a lot of citizens protesting. And as Gathanga said, a lot of them have not been documented. I can say a case study in Mukuru. A lot of citizens, a lot of community members from Mukuru were killed, but that was not documented anywhere. It was not seen anywhere. After the first demolition that happened on Wednesday, the not demonstration, not demolition, sorry. After the first demonstration that happened on Wednesday, the demonstrations continued in the morning till the morning in Mukuru kwa Jenga, which was not also documented. And in that morning, four community members who are young men they were killed by the police. That has not been documented anywhere. So there is a lot that has been happening and has not been documented. I think the media is also, hiding this kind of deaths, and the police, the state is using the state apparatus to, continue. To continue installing fear among the community members so that they are not able to come out and protest anymore. When they have guns and we do not have guns and they shoot us, the only thing that the community have to protect themselves is the stone. You have seen them throwing stones in the protest and all that. And you know how it all starts. People go to demonstrations peacefully, but then again, police start throwing tear gas at the community members, and the community members are mad, and the economic has really affected them very badly. So they come out in large numbers, and they also resist, because we are coming out to protest. It is our constitutional right. We should be doing this. Then again, why are you tear gassing us even when we are coming peacefully? So it is always the state and the state apparatus who create this chaos and end up killing people and injuring a lot of people.
So tell me more about the extent to which women have been involved in these protests, and the way in which these austerity measures have affected the lives of women.
Women have been in the front line in these demonstrations, because like the case study I told you of Mukuru Gathanga, a lot of women were left, their husbands, a lot of them ran away from them, so they were left there alone. So a lot of women will come out in large numbers, because they are the ones who are at the end of the day left with the kids to feed them. They are the ones who have to take the kids to school and all that. So a lot of women were affected, and women have been coming out in large numbers to protest. Like in the last 77 March for Our Lives that we had, 15 women were arrested and detained illegally at Central Police Station. They were denied medical attention. There were comrades who are not feeling good. They were denied medical attention. And something else that happened is that they were also denied menstrual product at the station, at Central Police Station. We were also denied to, even just take a quick shower and all that. Sometimes we were even being denied to go to the washrooms. And the situation in Central Police Station is very bad, because you share washrooms. Both men and women are sharing the same washrooms. So I can say that women have been largely affected, and even with the taxation, the baby formula is, they have increased it in tax. What does that mean for the grassroots woman who was not even able to afford it initially when it was not being taxed that much, and now it is being taxed that much? It means that woman cannot be able to afford the baby formula. So what happens to this baby, that the mother is not able to provide enough milk for this baby? What happened to the sanitary towels that they have hiked the prices very much now? And even initially, women were unable to afford these sanitary towels, and now you tax them that much, and there's food that they need to provide for themselves, the shelter and all that. So yeah, we have been affected very much.
Yeah. I mean, one of the questions that keeps coming up, and maybe Brian, you can address this one, and that is, why do people join the police? I mean, carry out violence against citizens. What motivates people to join the police?
Thank you very much, comrade. And I think that one has been addressed before, and I think it's a very, very important question for us to analyze, especially in these particular moments. I think one of the things that the social justice centers have deliberately done is, that they have got this message to the people themselves. And first of all, I think the thing that the thing that we appreciate is that from the demonstrations, there is you can tell that the masses are on another level of consciousness, and that they understand what oppression looks like, and of course how it affects their lives in various ways. But I mean, I have seen some clips. I have also witnessed some of the cases where the community seems to support the police and stuff. But from the onset is that we can tell that there is a role that is being played from the both divides, that from you can tell that there is a contribution that is coming, that there is an influence from international monopoly capital, from the business owners, from the business people. And I think the question is about protecting property. And I think that is where very many people now come to support the police, in terms of and they come in, they come quoted, and they are advocating for protection of property. But which is this property? It is private property, private property that is owned by big businessmen, and who are even running this narrative of who are running who are running this narrative of looting and destruction of property. But this property belongs to belongs to these people who own the means of production. So I think it is very well connected with the international monopoly capital and private ownership of these businesses and the means of production.
Right. Yeah. So, Gacheke, we hear a lot in the newspapers that, Raila Odinga from AZIMIO has been calling for these demonstrations and so on. What's his agenda? Is he doing this to support Wananchi, or is he got his own agenda?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Firoze. I hope you are not putting me and Minoo in trouble, because I'm sure two of Gathanga and Brian know that you attended one of his meetings in Ufungamano 1 month ago. But I'm sure we'll articulate it. But let me also revisit the question also you asked Brian about why people join the police. It's because that's the only job that is available. People, they are bribing even the commission that recruit police officers so that they can get an employment. It's a struggle of getting a living. Yeah, and that's the challenge when the crisis of capitalism, as Brian was talking about, it is create a lot of desperation to our people. And any offer of a job, although is joining the instrument operation, they join. But now back to your question about Raila Odinga. And you were here during the detention, the dictatorship of Moi. And you know him well. He was also detained for almost 10 years and plus. So for sure, we have to rescue.
Also join the government on the Moi.
Yeah, Comrade Firoze, for sure. He also cooperated with Moi dictatorship that he had detained him. But we need to separate two Raila. There's Raila who was there during the push for democratization, and there Raila who has opportunistic tendencies that is affecting us now, because first of all, he has refused to work with the grassroots movement. Even when he get the advice, he does not follow the advice. And also the dangerous is alliances between himself and the forces of international capital that continue to praise him, and sometimes they undermine him, because after these elections, if they was on his side, they would have supported him. But you see, they found accommodation for their interest, international interest, from the William Ruto. So that tell you that he has not read his analysis very well, and he has departed more from his father, Jaramogi Odinga, and Bildad Kyaa. I can see the photo of Bildad Kyaa behind me, and Brian, who was a close ally of his father, Jaramogi Odinga. So I think Odinga has failed the test in following up from the footstep of Bildad Kyaa, Pio Gama Pinto, because every time he loses the fight between his class, he always come back to the people, and the people are the one who pay the heavy price. And when the people pay the heavy price, he forget about them. That is the crisis we are facing with the Raila Odinga of today. It's not the Raila Odinga of your times of 1980s or 70s where he was being detained. And that's calling us, as our generation, to realize that unless we build a powerful a political instrument that is collective, that is conscious, not one man shows leadership. It's always easy to be compromised. And I think that's the lesson we are learning from Raila Odinga, that if you are always compromising with the forces of neoliberal economic reforms, neo-colonial state, you get accommodated Moi Moi, tomorrow you get accommodated by Kenyatta, and today you are seeking accommodation by Ruto, and you're using the blood of the working class people. That is a betrayal. And I think that's the nature. And I already have spoken about Michael Cosmas speaking.
We've lost you. Gacheke, can you hear us? We've lost him. But Gathanga, what exactly is Raila's agenda?
Okay, for me, I will very much agree with Gacheke because the Raila of yesteryears, during the Moi liberation era, is not the Raila that we are seeing currently. Oh, he's back. So I don't know. Should I go on or should I give Gacheke?
You can continue. You can continue. I don't know what's happened. And the problem is also to warn you, Gathanga, in Kenya, there is a lot of surveillance now, comrade. And every time there is interference of internet and mobile phone, but no problem.
So you were saying something about the Michael Neocosmos book.
Yes, Michael Neocosmos, he has spoken in his writings that you have shared as the domain of the mode of the rules, the reproduction of how neo-colonial state reproduce the oligarchy, and that continue to serve the capitalist interests. If you look the top brass, whether it's Kalonzo Musyoka, whether it's William Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, and now Raila Odinga, you can locate them in the heart of the neo-colonial state. And you can see every time the imperialist forces and the forces of the international capital, they're able to choose. Either today they can choose Uhuru Kenyatta, and even Mwai Kibaki was in the heart of the construction of the neo-colonial state, and he was in the heart of the KANU government. He's the one who said that inviting multi-party party is like cutting Mogumo tree with a razor blade. And you can see when it came to 2002, he was a compromise of the ruling elite. And in 2012, the compromise was Uhuru Kenyatta. And you can see how they reproduce the same. And that's what Michael is speaking about. The neo-colonial state and its foundation is able to reproduce itself every time to serve the interests of the imperialism. And that's what we should warn ourselves. And this has been spoken again by Frantz Fanon and Amika Cabral. And I think for our generation, that's what we need to think too. So that Raila Odinga, as your question, does not pose false consciousness to the working class.
Gathanga, do you want to add to that?
Okay, I think I really much agree with him also on the case of Raila, and why he has been compromising a lot in the recent year that we've seen, both from the previous government. There is a time he was in bed with the same government, and whenever he's in government, his criticism or his opposition stance, it kind of fades, and he kind of joins hands with the ruling government to suppress the citizen. So this is something that has been happening. And I think one of the challenges that we've been facing in Kenya is that our political parties are not based on ideologies. Our political parties are run at the whims of their owners. It's an owner who decides what the political stand of a party is today. And that political stand changes every time with interest. So it's something that we've been having a problem as a country, because when you look at other countries, a party has to have some kind of ideology that is they're grounded in. They have to have an official standpoint, so that they say that this as a party, this is what we stand for, and you can't do A, B, C, D. And if you do A, B, C, D, you cease to be a member of this party. We haven't seen that in Kenya. In Kenya, these parties are run by their owners, and it's upon the interest of these owners who determine which way the party will go and what decision will be made by the party. So if you look at the case of ODM, it has been solely been decided by Raila Odinga. Whatever he says, that's the party stand. And I think it's a beautiful thing. We are seeing some kind of organizing also from the Communist Party of Kenya. We are seeing a a party being built on, I will say, being built on ideologies, and we're also seeing them going back to the communities, trying to organize from the grassroots, trying to create a conscious movement from below, and also incorporating people who are conscious, who are somehow conscious in their organizing, and this they've been achieving this through political education, and this is away from the kind of cultic following that I see with this other kind of politician, because for them it's more of a cultic following, and most of party cadres they I'd say for you to go through the ranks of the parties, you have to show some kind of fanatical following. You have to be like throwing back with whatever the party stands for, and that is majorly decided by these leaders. So I think we really need to shift the politics of our parties. We really need to start grounding our parties on ideologies that are very much progressive.
Right. So let me bring in Comrade Odinga, if you're willing. I mean, there've been a lot of really good statements being issued by the social justice centers about what has been going on. But what is the social justice? What are the social justice centers doing? I mean, what are your demands? What are you calling for? Are you mobilizing for demonstrations? What exactly is the role of the social justice centers?
I think Gacheke has given a very good analysis of what it takes, of what alternative, or at least not very much of an alternative, that the AZIMIO is offering. But really, the social justice centers is it's social justice as Article 43 of the Constitution propagates, because it is a person like Raila Odinga is not speaking about, for example, the right to food. It's almost as if it's populist politics when he speaks about high cost of living, because even if he gets to government, like my comrade Gacheke was speaking about, it's not that he's going to do anything about it, because as long as he does not oppose IMF policies, as long as he does not oppose World Bank policies, he does not speak about food. He does not speak about healthcare. He does not speak against privatization of healthcare. He does not speak against, privatization of basic needs that people need. He does not speak against, privatization of food, something as basic as food, something as basic as shelter, something as basic, as water. But the social justice centers are completely vocal, demanding, for example, that we don't use the killing of people as so mercilessly as propaganda. When people die, it is loss of life. It is life that that has not been given by the state, but the state robs the poor people. But the social justice centers, like my comrade Gathanga is speaking about, they are formation from below. It is a mass movement by the people. Because it is the demands of the people against police brutality. It's the demands of the people, to get food. It is the demands of the people that the high cost of living be lowered. It is the demands of the people, that a taxation must be reviewed. It must be reviewed in a manner that taxes the rich people. The poor people are able to enjoy the benefits of their labor. It is the demands of the people that there has to be employment. The social justice centers are completely vocal, against unemployment of young people, but it is a demand that we must be employed, because employment will dignify our people. Employment gives dignity, and without dignity, really, we're not human beings. We don't even have freedom of, liberty to do anything. But the social justice centers are a mass movement that makes deliberate demands that are pro-people, and of course are also targeting to take state power, so that we can achieve those demands, because we're also conscious of the fact that we cannot attain them without political power. But I think what is deliberate is that even when we organize, what my comrade Minoo was speaking about, when we organize, for example, Sapa movements, they're not organized as as cosmetic or populist politics. They're organized because they are at the heart of the people. It is because it is not desires of they're not imperialist agendas. They are agendas that are at the heart of existence of human life. Yes.
Right. Minoo, I mean, what's interesting is that you have been focusing on organizing around theatre and around art as part of that movement. Tell us more about what you're doing, and what's the role of theatre and art in these struggles that are going on today.
Sorry. Thank you very much. Uh, just as I want to go back a little bit to Gacheke and then to Wahome and then to theater. Yeah, so just as the name social justice, you know, we are basically fighting for social justice. And as Gacheke made it very clear, our war is very clear. It is about social justice. It is about us being able to meet our material needs. It's not about, I don't know, opening servers and all that, as we are seeing it happening in Raila's opposition campaigns. It's not about that. It is very basic. It's about you know, can we be able to afford our material needs? And I think that is as Wahome was saying, that is what the social justice movement is saying. You know, the social justice movement is going on and sensitizing people on their rights, telling them that you have a constitution that gives you right to food, that gives you right to employment, that gives you right to housing. So this should not be happening to you. This constitution and all this taxation that you know, these people are taxing you, they should be able, this taxation should be able to provide you education. You should be able to provide you housing and all that. So what the social justice movement is simply doing is sensitizing the people so that the people can be able to own up their problems and come out and fight for themselves. We're not, you know, going and fighting for people. And, you know, the masses need to be conscious of what they are fighting for and what it is that they really need. So that is where the traveling theater comes in. So the traveling theater is you know, is a committee around the movement that advocates for social change using theater. And the best thing about theater is that it goes to the masses. It doesn't wait for you in a, you know, in a hall or in a dialogue, call you, and then you have to sit there for 2 or 3 hours to talk to you. It goes where the masses are, to the streets of Mathare, to the streets of Dandora, to the streets of Mathare. We once had this campaign called Tekeleza Katiba. Tekeleza Katiba is the implementation of the constitution, because a lot of people do not know the rights that they have in the constitution. So once you tell them, they at least know what they are fighting for. You know, you go to a street and you do a street performance about we first do a reke visit. A reke visit is to understand what is the immediate problem of that community. So if you go to Mathare and realize the immediate problem of Mathare is extrajudicial killings, we will do a stage play that talks about extrajudicial killings, and then we will make our audience also players or actors in our play, so that you know, at the end of the day, they are able to own up their problems. You know, theater makes you own up your problems, because we will not the solutions comes from the audience. Now we are experiencing the crisis of water. Why do you think we are experiencing this? What are the possible solutions that we can do? And we also use this to recruit members of the community to progressive centers, like the centers that we have in the movement, so that you know, when we come together, we are able to unite and fight together. So basically, that is the work of the theater, to advocate and make the masses on their problems by going to where they are.
Okay, that's really, I mean, that's fascinating. And congratulations on doing such work. I think it's really, really important. But in terms of the current protests, I mean, are the social justice centers calling for people to mobilize? What are the demands that you're making today in relation to the uprisings? What's happening?
Okay, we had a paper that had 12 demands. I don't know where it is. Maybe Brian, you can find us that.
One of you give us a quick overview. It doesn't have to be in detail, just an overview.
Yeah, a quick overview was we were demanding, first of all, to the decrease of fuel prices, because, you know, fuel is like it means like everything, because even productions from the farm or even from the industries and all that, they have to be transported. We also had something to do with food. We, you know, decrease of the taxation in the food that we have seen. We also had something to do with housing, something to do with education. It was basically Article 43 of the Constitution, because Article 43 of the Constitution gives us all these social amenities, and they give us as rights. And I can say that what the traveling theater did, to mobilize for the Sabasaba March for Our Lives. Because we mobilized for the Sabasaba March for Our Lives, we were going in different communities and just educating them on the effects of this taxation, because a lot of people in our communities do not understand that they do not have these smartphones. Not everyone in the Nini have a television. Not even everyone will even understand taxation of 16% and all that. So when the traveling theater goes to the masses, what it does is educate the masses on the effects and what exactly is this finance bill. Yeah.
Okay, so then that that raises the next question, which I'd like each of you to comment on. Is what we are seeing just protests, or do you see the development, even if in small ways? Do you see the development of autonomous organizing happening? I mean, there's a difference between protesting and creating the possibilities for a future that is based on different ways of working. Maybe Gathanga, you can start on that.
Thank you so much. I'll ask you a tricky question, but let me try to answer that to best of the knowledge. I think the kind of protest that we've seen different, I'll say, clusters of different people trying to organize from different perspectives. We've seen some organizing more from extensive perspective, try to organize from the need. But then, I think we are kind of fragmented. We are still very much fragmented because farmer town they're organizing on their own because there is the issues of laws being to them. They lose the control on issues of food and seed sovereignty. So you find farmers organizing on one hand. There is other people who are workers who are organizing on this kind of issues such as the new tax levy which is being introduced on the housing levy, which is 3%, which is being introduced. So you find civil servants are also organizing themselves on this. You find that also content creators such as YouTubers, they're also organizing on themselves. So you find they are kind of organizing that is really coming up against this kind of financial, but then it's coming from different sides and different factions. But then I feel that it's high time we need to coalesce our effort and synergize all these things into one movement. Because the problem that people feel to do is they fail to recognize the interconnectedness of all these issues. These issues are very much interconnected and they are one thing. But then the problem, we continue to organize. If it's the farmers, they continue to organize the peasant leagues, continue to organize on their own. The civil workers continue to organize their own. The middle class organize on their own issues. The workers organize on this other side. So we are very much fragmented. But then at least we've been trying to, as a social justice movement, that is what that is one of the things that we've been trying to do. Try to create connection between all these kind of struggles and bring them together so that we can voice ourselves as one, because these are the challenges we've been going through. And through the social justice movement, actually what we've been trying to do is bring all these people under our campaigns. And we've had a lot of campaigns also. This year we are running on land, food, and freedom, because that was the first dream that we had during the colonial war, that the likes of Deda and Kimathi were fighting for: land, food, and freedom. That's why we decided to revitalize this dream. And then in our contemporary times, how do we bring land, food, and freedom into our debate? We've also been talking about the Tekeleza Katiba, which that is another debate that you're also currently doing, because you're telling the government, if you guys could just implement the constitution, the Article 43, which is the socio-economic bill, we will have care for everything that you are really fighting for. We've also been doing a Sabasaba March for Our Lives, or stop the bullet, because we've seen a lot of our people being profiled, also in the ghettos. And actually, in this few demonstrations, we saw mercenaries being hired by the government. Actually, the mercenaries and assassins being hired, and they are poured into these slums to come and kill our people. So our work has been really Also, with the likes of Revolutionary Socialist League and Composite Library, we've been trying to organize political education in these all the areas, and not only in the slums only, but also in middle income areas, because we want to create a movement where all these both the middle class, the upper class, and the workers combine and join to form one movement. We don't want a movement that is very much fragmented, because the moment we fragment ourselves, we make ourselves very much vulnerable. So the aim has been to create one front that is strong, that will be able to take on the state. And yeah, thank you.
Some people might say that, we have 50, 60 years of experience of appeals to government leading to nothing. Is this still the right strategy, to be appealing to government to implement the Constitution, when surely the Constitution belongs to the people? Gacheke.
It's okay.
Well, okay, you can get it.
I was listening to you, Gathanga. I don't know why you went silent. And you are the one who wrote that book, Bastion of Oppression and Resistance in Mathare, which speak about the question that Firoze is asking. Is it the right for us to be asking the government to implement the Constitution, while the Constitution is a product of the people's struggles? And I think, Comrade Firoze, we just go back there, that we have a Constitution that was clothed to a colonial state. So it has a powerful neoliberal freedom of liberty, right to picket, to demonstrate, to petition, and that's what Gathanga is speaking about. But also this democratic space gives us an opportunity to write a book that he read, even the NGO discourse. Because what if it was in your time, you would have been taken to Nyayo House. So you see, so we appreciate these bourgeois rights that we have been given by the liberal democratic constitution. But the thing is that the petitioning and doing this work we are doing is part of opening a democratic space and expanding the democratic space, so that we can continue building the movement from below, as Comrade Minoo is talking about, theater, the emancipatory politics of using traveling theater, community organizing, setting up of social justice centers. That's part of using these reforms opportunity to build a path where we can launch a progressive, not saying a revolutionary movement, because I see Comrade Shiraz Ndurani is asking us, why are we not coming out clearly and saying that this is a path that we want to follow? That's a bit, we are a bit trying our best, the path that we have started now, that we have a Revolutionary Socialist League. It's not registered as a party, but it is in its formative stages. Now, we had that crisis. We came up with the Communist Party of Kenya, as you know, the problem with the petty bourgeois class here in Kenya. And as Shirazi Durani has written about it very strongly in his book, the two-way alternative way Kenya has been betrayed in pursuing this struggle. So what we are saying is that our generation, we are learning from the generation that was here before of More Kenya, December 12th movement, and we are utilizing these opportunities to do political education and try to build a mass-based movement. Before we reach where I know you want to invite us and Shiraz of a vanguard party, first of all, we have to build a mass-based movement. Before we reach where we say that now we can say that we want instrument to take power. I think we have learned the mistake of before, of Mika Cabral, where he had this petty bourgeoisie who are just interested in political power, assessing political power. But what were they going to do with the political power if they had assassinated Mika Cabral? What if he had formed government with them? The same thing with the South African liberation struggle. What happened? What happened with Kenyatta and Bilal Kyaa and and Pio Gama Pinto. And I mean, I think I agree with the Fidel Castro who say it's better you take long in the struggle trying to conscientize people, building mass consciousness, building mass organizations, creating more alternative leadership, building organic intellectual network, that we have a cross board of more organic intellectuals from below than having to rely a petty bourgeois class who can compromise you anytime. So I think we are trying our best, and I think Gathanga also is creating this path by also continue documenting these struggles. And also, I hope with the traveling theater and now emerging a grassroots movement of a popular voices, I think we are making a path. And it, 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 sometimes it's very difficult when you take a petition to the Harambe Avenue and say that you are complaining about this and about this. But also, Mandela used to do so that. But anyway, I don't want to go there.
Okay, well, we're coming to the end of our show. Just one or two sentences from each of you. Brian, we've not heard much from you. One or two sentences to end up the show. What's your big message to people watching this show, people listening to this on radio? Brian.
Thank you, comrade. I think this was it was a very good discussion, and I was just invited by Gacheke to participate, and just listening. And from what I'm getting is that we have a discussion to build. We have an organizational task to build, and a generational mission to fulfill. But very fast, I think in my last statements is to say that I think from the statements that have come from here, one that we can agree on is that these political parties is they are not. I think they have charted their path, and we can tell that what ideological line they subscribe to. So that one is very clear according to to the situation now. And I think also it's very important that we look on the subjective and objective factors, especially in these demonstrations. And I think among the subjective factors is is that Raila must be using this as his stepping stone to get to his interest, as comrades have said before. But I think the objective factors is that the conversations are shifting from the server to the high cost of living, because they can relate to the tummy bread and butter of of individuals. So they are materially influenced. And I also think that my parting shot will be that this spontaneity. I think these riots, these demonstrations everywhere that we are experiencing, and especially in the informal settlements, are a good working base for to consolidate the struggles of the working people, to bring the working class even more closer to each other. And they can even chart a good they are they are I see them as a good entry to the path towards charting a united front. So the message that I should urge the young people is that they should continue resisting, especially those that are in Kenya. And my message to the international community that is listening to us is that we should now come even more closer to each other and unite in in forging a working class path towards total liberation and emancipation.
Okay. Minoo, last sentence.
Yes, I will not say much. I think much has been said. So my last sentence will be, there's this thing that says in Swahili, mambo ni yale yale ya ukoloni. You can translate that, right, comrade? Yeah, so mambo ni yale yale ya ukoloni. So, the people of Kenya need to understand that we are not free, and we are not free even with the constitution, with a very nice constitution that is not being implemented. And are also advocates for right for private property, because our constitution also does that, advocating for rights for for private property. So we are not yet free, and it's up to us to keep going to make sure that we attain full emancipation, as Brian says.
Comrade Odinga, last word.
Thank you very much. This has been a very fruitful discussion. I think my last words will be that no one will ever give you, the instruments to defeat them. So it has to be continued resistance. And I believe that eventually we shall win this struggle because it is an inevitable struggle. So we shall win.
We
just need to keep up the spirit, yes.
We can't make a tiger into a vegetarian, huh?
Yeah.
So listen, comrades, this has been a great discussion. I wish we could prolong it further, but I think we're coming up to an hour, and we will have to do some editing to tighten up the show. But thank you very much indeed for joining us today. And I hope that we can get together again for further discussions. I'm going to close the show in a moment, but don't go away. We can have a little conversation offline in a moment. So thank you very much for joining us today, and let's end the show with this lovely music from Samiri, called Samiri from Amira Kyaa.